They said it couldn't be done. A Sherman tank, taking on a Tiger. That's not a fight. That's a death wish. But one American gunner didn't care. He wasn't thinking about odds. He was thinking about payback. When the smoke cleared, the battlefield crowned a new king. And it wasn't German. What you're about to see isn't just a battle story. It's the moment an underdog rewrote the laws of war. So before we dive into the chaos, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because once you see how this man turned a suicide mission into one of the most shocking victories of World War II, you'll never look at a Sherman the same way again. Europe trembles under the roar of German Tigers. Every Allied tank that dares to face them burns within seconds. But one stubborn sergeant, Novak, decides to fight back with nothing but math, guts, and madness. He's about to prove that intelligence can melt armor thicker than steel. The Tiger. Even the name made Allied tank crews go silent. Imagine this. You're sitting inside a Sherman, metal creaking, engine rattling, the air thick with smoke and oil. Your heart's pounding so loud you can hear it through your helmet. And then, in the distance, you hear that deep, slow rumble. That's not thunder. That's a Tiger tank, the most feared machine on the battlefield. Every soldier knew what it meant. You could fire first, aim perfectly, even pray before you pulled the trigger, and still, your shell would just bounce off. It wasn't a fight, it was an execution. The Tiger was more than just a tank. It was a monster. Its armor was so thick that Sherman shells couldn't even dent it from the front. Its 80mm gun, that thing could punch through a Sherman at more than a mile away, before the Americans could even see where the shot came from. One round, and entire crews disappeared in smoke and fire. Reports came in every week. Platoons wiped out in seconds, brave crews never even getting a chance to return fire. And soon, fear started spreading faster than the tanks themselves. Soldiers began whispering, "If there's a Tiger out there, we're already dead." For Sherman crews, it wasn't just a physical disadvantage. It was psychological. They started calling their tanks Ronsons, after the cigarette lighter, because, like the ad said, they lit up the first time, every time. Imagine climbing into one of those, knowing the odds, knowing that if a Tiger spotted you first, your only real weapon was hope. But not everyone accepted that, not Novak. Staff Sergeant Novak was a gunner, calm under pressure, sharp-eyed, the kind of man who noticed everything others missed. While most crews cursed their bad luck and blamed their equipment, Novak started watching, really watching. He studied the Tigers, not just their power, but their behavior. Every time a Tiger appeared on the horizon, Novak didn't just fire, he observed. He'd whisper into his headset, "Watch how slow that turret turns. Notice how long it takes them to reposition." Something was forming in his mind, a pattern, a rhythm, because for all its terror, the Tiger wasn't perfect. It had weaknesses, hidden ones. The Tiger's gun could destroy anything in its path, but only if it could aim in time. And that was Novak's first clue. You see, the Tiger's turret was massive. It took power, gears, and time to rotate. In the chaos of battle, that meant one crucial thing. It couldn't track fast-moving targets from multiple angles. If 2 or 3 tanks attacked from different sides, the Tiger would have to pick one. And that decision would cost precious seconds. Seconds Novak planned to use. But that wasn't all. The Tiger was also heavy, 57 tons of steel. On muddy fields or narrow roads, it was slow, clumsy, even vulnerable. Its crew had limited visibility, narrow periscopes, tiny viewports. That meant if smoke or dust filled the air, they were practically blind, and Novak knew it. He started collecting every detail like a detective piecing together a crime scene. How long the turret took to traverse 360 degrees. How far the driver could see in thick smoke. How quickly a crew reacted under surprise fire. To others, it looked like he was just another soldier doing his duty. But in his mind, Novak was running calculations. He wasn't trying to outshoot the tiger. He was trying to outthink it. One night, around a campfire, Novak spread a rough map on the hood of his tank. He pointed to the hedgerows, the fields, the roads. "Look," he said, "they've got strength, but not speed. We've got speed, but no armor. So why are we fighting them on their terms?" His crew stared at him. "What are you saying, Sarge?" He grinned, just slightly. "I'm saying we stop fighting like prey and start fighting like hunters." From that moment, something shifted. Where other crews saw monsters, Novak saw machines. Machines with limits, patterns, weaknesses. The tiger might have been built like a god of war, but it still had gears, timing, and human operators. And humans make mistakes. Every battle after that, Novak watched and learned. He saw how tigers reacted when surprised. He noticed how their commanders hesitated when forced to choose between threats. He studied how smoke blinded them, how sound echoed through the countryside, confusing their sense of direction. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was preparing. Soon, word spread. Other tank crews began to notice Novak's strange calmness, how he didn't panic even when outnumbered, how he seemed to predict the tiger's moves. One gunner asked him, "What's your secret, Novak?" He just smirked. "Simple math," he said, "and a little bit of Texas rhythm." The others laughed, thought it was a joke. But Novak wasn't joking. In his notebook were sketches, rough equations showing turret angles, speed ratios, flanking distances. He was building something, a plan so risky, so insane, that if it failed, he and his men wouldn't stand a chance. But if it worked, the world would see that even a Sherman could kill a tiger. And that's where it all began. Not with a gunshot, but with a realization. That power isn't just about who has the biggest gun. It's about who understands the game better. The tiger had armor, the Sherman had mobility. But Novak had strategy. He was about to change tank warfare forever. Next morning, Novak gathered his crew. 3 tanks, 1 plan. He called it the Texas two-step. And once the dance began, even the mighty tiger wouldn't stand a chance. Morning mist still hung low over the French countryside. Dew clung to the hedgerows. Somewhere beyond the fog, a tiger waited. Novak stood over a map spread across the muddy hood of his Sherman. His crew gathered around, tired, dirty, and doubtful. "All right, listen up," Novak said quietly. "We're not running anymore." He tapped the map with the end of his pencil, 3 arrows converging on a single black cross. "This," he said, "is how we kill a tiger." The men glanced at each other, half disbelief, half curiosity. Everyone knew what that meant. A direct fight was suicide, but Novak wasn't talking about a direct fight. He was talking about a dance. "I call it the Texas two-step," he said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. 3 Shermans, 1 to distract, 2 to flank. Time to the second. If one of us messes up, we all die. No one laughed. He pointed to the first arrow. "That's me, the lead tank. We'll draw the tiger's fire. Make it think we're panicking, retreating." Then to the second arrow, curling around a small orchard. "Tank 2, you'll swing wide right. Stay low, use the trees, get a clear shot on its flank." And the third, looping through the village road. "Tank 3, you'll come in from the left, close the trap." His crew stared at the map. It looked simple, on paper, but on a real battlefield, timing like that was a miracle. "Sarge," his loader muttered, "you really think this'll work?" "No," Novak said flatly. "I know it will, if we keep our heads." Novak had spent nights running the math in his Notebook, turret traverse speeds, field distances, estimated reaction times. He'd even timed how long a tiger took to turn once it spotted a target. It was slow, painfully slow, and that's where their advantage hid. They've got armor, he said, but armor can't save you if you don't know where to turn. He drew a small circle on the map, representing the tiger's rotation range. Then he made 2 quick slashes across it. If we hit from 2 sides at once, its gun can only face one of us. The other gets the kill. It wasn't bravado. It was geometry, pure deadly geometry. At dawn, the plan went into motion. Engines coughed to life, treads grinding through mud. The air smelled of oil, smoke, and nerves. Each tank crew knew what was at stake. No reinforcements, no air cover, just 3 Shermans against 1 tiger. They had to make it count. Over the radio, Novak's voice cut through the static. Remember the rhythm, boys. Step 1, draw fire. Step 2, move fast. Step 3, don't stop till he's burning. His men chuckled weakly. They were terrified, but they trusted him. Minutes later, Novak's tank crested a small ridge. Through the haze, he saw it. The tiger. It looked calm, almost bored, its long gun sweeping the horizon. A steel predator. Target spotted, Novak whispered. God help us. He ordered his driver forward, fast, reckless, straight into the tiger's view. It was madness. Deliberate madness. The German gunner noticed them instantly. A flash, then a thunderous blast. The ground shook. A shell screamed past, missing by inches. He sees us, the loader shouted. Good, Novak growled. Let him look. They fired smoke. Thick white clouds billowed, blinding the tiger's optics. Inside that fog, chaos began. While the tiger focused on Novak's decoy tank, the other 2 Shermans crept into position. Right flank, through a line of apple trees. Left flank, crawling behind a stone wall. Over the radio, Novak counted down. 3, 2, 1, move! The 2 flanking Shermans burst out of cover simultaneously, engines howling, mud spraying behind them. The tiger's turret groaned, turning toward the new threats. But it was too slow. Every second mattered. Every second meant life or death. The tiger fired again. The shell tore through a tree, exploding in a shower of dirt and splinters. But it missed. Now the dance was in full swing. Novak shouted, "Keep him turning. Don't give him time to..." Aim! The tiger tried to pivot, its massive tracks grinding into the mud. It was powerful, but clumsy, like a heavyweight boxer trying to punch 3 opponents at once. Then Novak saw it, the perfect opening, the tiger's side armor exposed for just a moment. Now, fire! A Sherman round slammed into the tiger's side, then another. Sparks, smoke. The German crew panicked, turret half-turned, blind in the haze. Another hit, straight through the engine compartment. Flames erupted, the monster roared, then went silent. Over the radio, there was only breathing. No one cheered, no one spoke, just the crackle of static and the low hiss of fire in the distance. Finally, Novak broke the silence. "That's step 3, boys," he said quietly. "That's how you kill a tiger." The men laughed, half in relief, half in disbelief. They had just done what every other crew said was impossible, and the crazy part? It hadn't been luck, it had been precision, the rhythm of movement, the dance Novak had imagined in his head for weeks. Later that night, they parked the tanks side by side and stared at the burning wreck. Even from a distance, the tiger still looked terrifying, a blackened giant fallen in the dirt. Novak's gunner whispered, "You really think we can do that again?" Novak smiled faintly. "We won't need to. Word'll spread. They'll know. Now." The tiger bleeds like everything else. By morning, command heard about the engagement. At first, no one believed it. A tiger destroyed by coordinated Shermans. They demanded proof. So Novak sent photos, serial numbers, and one short report. At the bottom of the page, he wrote just 3 words: executed as planned. From that day forward, tank crews across Europe learned a new tactic. They practiced synchronized flanking maneuvers, coordinated by radio, what they called Novak's two-step. Some units even painted little music notes on their tanks, in tribute. It wasn't just a strategy, it was a message that no machine, no matter how mighty, is invincible when men refuse to accept defeat. The Texas two-step wasn't just a plan, it was a gamble that turned the battlefield into a dance floor. But the real test came when the enemy learned the steps, and the tigers started dancing back. The morning was quiet, too quiet, just a light fog crawling across the fields, thick enough to hide death, but thin enough to make you wonder if it was still watching you. Inside Novak's Sherman, the crew sat in tense silence. You could almost hear their hearts beating beneath the hum of the engine. Everyone knew what they were about to do wasn't just risky. It was suicide dressed as strategy. They were going to dance with a tiger. "Ready?" Novak whispered, his voice low but steady. No one answered. They didn't have to. Every man in that steel box knew. One wrong move, and they'd never make it home. Then, the order came through the radio. "Move!" The first Sherman lurched forward, grinding over the mud, engine growling like an angry beast. That was the bait. The tiger, hidden somewhere beyond the smoke, was waiting for exactly that. Movement. And sure enough, it saw it. Boom! A deafening shot ripped through the air. The ground shook like an earthquake. A shell screamed past Novak's position and slammed into the dirt just yards away, showering his tank in dust and debris. But that's what he wanted. "Now," Novak barked. Two Shermans peeled off. One left, one right, engines roaring, treads slicing through the mud. The plan, the Texas two-step, was in motion. The Tiger's massive turret began to turn, its gears grinding, its operator struggling to keep up. That turret was powerful, yes, but fast. Never. Novak threw a smoke shell. White phosphorus. A burning cloud erupted between them and the Tiger, a blinding curtain of chaos. Inside the German tank, the gunner's world vanished into white fire. Their optics were useless. Their commander was shouting orders, but nobody could see. Novak's voice came over the intercom, calm and sharp. "Keep going! Don't stop!" They roared through the fog, the crew gripping their stations, sweat dripping down their faces. Then, suddenly, there it was. Through the thinning smoke, Novak spotted the dark outline of the Tiger's side armor. Thick, but not invincible. "Target locked," said the gunner. "Fire!" Boom! The first round slammed into the Tiger's flank. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. A second shot followed, then a third. Each shell hitting harder, faster, closer to its heart. Inside the Tiger, panic. The German crew tried to swing the turret around, but it was too late. The machine that had terrified battlefields for years was now blind, wounded, and surrounded. The fourth shot did it. A flash, then a roar. Fire burst from the Tiger's hull. A plume of black smoke spiraled into the sky. The crew of Novak's. Sherman stared through the haze as the monster burned, the ground trembling beneath it. No one spoke. They just watched. For months, the Tiger had been untouchable, but right there, in that smoking field, it fell to a Sherman, a tank everyone said wasn't good enough, not strong enough, not powerful enough. And yet, Novak had proved them wrong. He didn't just destroy a tank, he destroyed a myth. That moment, that explosion, it wasn't just metal and fire. It was the death of arrogance, the birth of belief. Because now, every Sherman crew across Europe knew the Tiger could be killed, and all it took was brains, timing, and the courage to pull the trigger first. The battlefield was silent now. No gunfire, no shouting, just the soft crackle of flames eating through the twisted metal of what had once been the most feared machine in Europe. Inside Novak's Sherman, nobody spoke. They didn't cheer. They didn't smile. They just stared through the periscope at the burning wreck in front of them. The tiger. That invincible beast, the one that had haunted their nightmares, now lay broken and bleeding smoke into the grey sky. The air smelled of oil, gunpowder, and something else, victory, but it didn't feel like triumph. It felt unreal, like the world had just tilted a few inches off its axis. The loader finally whispered, almost afraid to break the silence. "Did we really just do that?" Novak didn't answer right away. He just looked ahead, eyes fixed on the flames, as if trying to make sure it was truly over. Then he said quietly, "Yeah, we did." That's when it hit them, the realization of what they'd done. They hadn't just survived. They'd killed a legend. They'd rewritten the story that said a Sherman could never beat a tiger. Word spread fast. By the next morning, radio chatter across the front lines carried their story. The Sherman crew that took down a tiger using nothing but brains, timing, and sheer nerve. Other crews listened, smiled, and for the first time in months, believed. Because Novak's victory wasn't just one tank over another. It was hope firing back against fear. It was proof that courage could outthink strength. And in that burned-out field, surrounded by smoke and silence, a new name was born. The Tiger Killer, a title Novak never asked for, but one history would never let him forget. As the sun rose over the horizon, its light glinting off the Sherman's scarred armor, Novak climbed out of the hatch. He looked at the wreck one last time, the giant that had ruled the battlefield, and whispered under his breath, "Guess the king's dead now." Then he turned, dusted the soot off his jacket, and rolled forward into history. They say machines win wars, but this story proves it's the human brain that rewrites the battlefield. If you want more stories of impossible victories and battlefield genius, subscribe now, because next, we're uncovering how the British Firefly carried Novak's legacy straight into Berlin.